Everybody, this is Mia Hall TV, and you are tuned into another episode of Brown Girls Glow Live, a show where we highlight women of color that are doing well in their careers and where we empower teenage girls to grow, lead, overcome, and win. I am Mia Hall. I'm the author of Glow Girl, which is under the same title. We have the same goal of empowering girls to grow, lead, overcome, and win. Today, I'm continuing a series that I'm doing on each chapter of the book. Here is your reminder. Check if door is locked. And today's chapter is Mia, here is your reminder. Chapter 8, Shine with What You Steward. All right, so I am going to also, I have to highlight something. Today is a special day because it's National Girls and Women in Sports Day. So this is a day that highlights women that play sports and women that work in sports. And so it's very exciting for me because that was definitely me. A woman, well, is me. I used to work in sports, so it was me as far as sports. Don't really work in sports as closely now, though I absolutely love sports. And anytime that I get a chance to, I will support sports initiatives and people that want to get into careers in sports. And so, but of course, and I'll talk more about it when we go into this chapter, but sports is really what helped me to get the discipline to even, be able to survive in a corporate space, to goal set, to be able to be a team player, to just learn so many things that I needed when I got into my career, when I really in life. So very thankful for Power Play NYC for introducing me to women in sports careers, and thankful to my dad for getting me involved in sports, my mom for supporting me and, paying for me to be in Our Lady of Mercy. That was my first paid basketball league that I was in. And then we were on the Westchester Express. That was the AAU team that we traveled with. So oh, those were the days. I was really in junior high school. That's really where I started playing basketball. And then I went to high school and I joined the basketball team, even though in high school I broke my foot the first, in the first semester. So I had to take a little break. But, by the time the season, really got underway, I was able to play on the women's basketball team at Harry Van Larsdale High School. And yes, and the rest is pretty much history. So today, like I said, I'm going through a series where we have gone through already 7 chapters of my book, Glow Girl. And today we're going to go through chapter 8. So in chapter 8, I talk about shine with what you steward. And so what does that even mean? Shine with what you steward is about stewardship. And really, when I talk about stewardship, I'm talking about how you handle your money. Now, I don't go into in depth. I'm not a financial expert. I don't, consider myself a financial expert, but I thankfully had the opportunity. Shout out to Diane King Hall, who in my early 20s, I met her right after I graduated from Harvard. And she had a contest where, she asked her friends and other people in our Bible study and of course in her broader network to apply for a contest, and she would give the winner 1 year of free financial coaching. And so I applied and I won the contest at maybe 23, 24 years old. And so that year with Jaquette Timmons, I'll never forget, she really taught me a great foundation of money. Thankfully in college, I was able to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And so, I just got that mindset, of money and, people with money and things like that I wouldn't say it was that early, but, at an early age for somebody who, didn't grow up with money. I got that foundation, but being able to get a financial advisor, financial coach really taught me the importance of not just money, but the importance of being a good steward of your money. And so that's what I talk about here. So I talk about, how I really started to save money and my first introduction to tithing, right? So, I didn't grow up in church or didn't grow up in a church that tithed. Um, in my practice where I did grow up, my family didn't go to church, but they sent me to, do the things, and honestly used to go to church by myself. And we would put money into like candles and things like that, but I never remember them talking about a tithe. So a tithe is 10% of your income that goes to God. God doesn't need your money. It's more about stewardship, about how to handle your money, being able to budget, being able to, give 10%. And of course, it's to fund the church, fund activities, fund charitable, you know, um, efforts. And so, first thing I talk about in my book is about when I, started tithing. And thankfully, I don't know if this happens for everybody. It probably does not happen for everybody, but when I first tithed, like the first time that I tithed, I got back exactly twice the amount of money that um, that I put into, whatever the basket was. And they used to have the envelope. So, whatever I put in the envelope from my babysitting, from Claudia, from Monique and Shamir. Shout out to Monique. It's her birthday actually today. So happy birthday, Monique. And so I was able to, earn money from that. Let's say it was $20. Then my uncle would give me money. And, you know, matter of fact, I say it in here. And it was like, I had, let's say, $6, right? From whatever money that I made. That was like the tithe that I gave. But my uncle, he saw me and he handed me $12, just like because he used to just give me money every time that he saw me. Shout out to my Uncle Diz. And I was like, whoa, like in my head, of course I didn't say it out loud, but in my head I was like, man, I just gave $6. God said that he will, um, multiply, the seeds that you have sown. And I really saw it like week after week, honestly, when I first started tithing, when I first knew the concept of tithing. I could have been like 15 years old, something like that. And even I remember one time, I didn't talk about this in the book, but one time I must have given like, I could have given, I don't know how much it was, right? And I had wanted to get a sandwich, right, from the store, a roll with, and I was a vegetarian for a very long time, pescatarian. And um, I used to get a roll with just cheese, lettuce, tomatoes, salt, pepper, oil, and vinegar, right? Hero from the store, New York, straight New York stuff. And I didn't have enough money to get the sandwich, but like I remember it was like a Sunday and I had just tithed or whatever. I didn't have enough money, but I made a phone call, right? And so I put the quarter into the phone booth, right? And it wasn't working. So I'm like, man, you know what I mean? Like back in the days with pay phones that don't exist anymore, but you know, um, at that time I had to pay. I mean, I went to the payphone to try to call somebody. And I remember not having enough money to get the sandwich, but I was just like, oh, whatever. Like, I have enough money to make a phone call. So, but I didn't make the phone call because the phone wasn't working. Now I hang up the phone, kind of begging it because I want my quarterback. Why did like $3.50 worth of quarters come out? And that was like exactly how much I needed for the sandwich. Like, these are the types of things that were happening when I first started tithing. So of course I've been tithing ever since. So that's the first thing. It is, under the Christian faith, of course. People that are not Christians also practice the tithe. I heard that the Kardashians give 10% of their money to charities. And so, whatever your faith is, you may want to practice this. It is a good practice to have, to be able to give away, some of your money back to charity, because of course it allows you to, contribute to the world, right? To contribute to somebody who might not have, if you're fortunate enough to have. And it allows you to budget, right? To make sure that you're being responsible over the 90% that you are keeping. So that is the first part. All right. And then I talk about, really your mindset and just really because I wish that I knew earlier, the importance of learning about money, the importance of having a financial education. Now, of course, with the internet, there are different resources that you can get, and different people that might even look like you, that might even be from the same financial situation as you. People like from Earn Your Leisure, and Tiffany Aliche, and Dominique Broadway, and all of these people that talk about money. Now there are resources out there for examples that you can follow, people that have been good stewards over their money. Tiffany was a school teacher and she was able to build wealth, and now she's teaching others to do just that. So being able to do that um, has helped her a lot, and I'm very happy that she is doing that, is helping other people. So I list her as one of the people that I follow. I also follow Rachel Rogers. I love We Should All Be Millionaires. That is a book that I recommend. That's a book that has definitely changed my mindset about money, because really, or at least from what I get out of her call, that we should all be millionaires, talking about women. But of course, anybody that has a heart, when women do have more money and more wealth and more income, they usually are funding efforts to change the world, efforts to bring world peace, to end world hunger, like literally, saving people that might be in countries where they live off $1 a day, literally. So there are people out there that you can follow now where you can get a financial education. They might not teach this in your high school, they might not teach this in school, but it is important for us to be able to learn about money, to learn how to save, to learn about 7 streams of income. I don't know how old I was to learn that millionaires often have 7 streams of income. So you're not just earning money from a 9 to 5 job. Oh, I want to make 6 figures. Like, most millionaires are not making their 7 figures, just from one stream. They can have real estate, they can have investments, they can have, let's say a brick and mortar business. They can have, something like I don't know, a solar business, right? That they make income from. So think about these things. You want to be able to think about, from even a teenager, just how you will, earn wealth, how you will earn income, how you will get scholarships, how you will, be able to survive in this world, but also to thrive, and most importantly, to be able to give back. I don't want to say most importantly, but you really want to be able to give back, because it just helps so much. It helps you as a person, because you what you give, you also receive. But it also will help people that, unfortunately, because of we live in a capitalist society, and so it will help those who, unfortunately, you know might suffer injustice, right, in this type of financial system. And so you can help them if you are making enough money to be able to give back. I also give 7 tips for building a healthy financial foundation in high school. So you're going to have to get the book to get all 7, but I will say that you can practice a positive growth mindset towards your finances. Learn about financial management for teens by reading books on the subject. Tithe and track your spending, even if just for a set period. And so I give 3 more, but I give you 4 right there. And of course, I have reflection questions at the end. When you hear the word wealth, what comes to mind? Money, freedom, impact, or something else? Do you believe you can have a rich life even before you're financially wealthy? Why or why not? Because that's a big thing too, right? I agree with Rachel. We should all be millionaires. But I also believe that you should be rich, of course, in other areas, and happiness, because you don't want to have a whole bunch of money and then not be happy, and a whole bunch of money and not be joyful, a whole bunch of money on the outside and don't have anything on the inside. We have seen too many times countless people who might have money, but they don't have character, they don't have integrity, they don't have family, they don't have love, they don't have joy, they don't have peace, right? These things are invaluable. These things are priceless. Things that are priceless. So I certainly want you to be able to have all of those things, right? Don't just look at, of course, money, but you do want to know what it is. You do want to be educated in that area, because they might not always teach this in school. They don't always teach this in school. They're not like required. They can teach you math, but they're not required to teach you about money in public schools. And I had to go to public schools all of my grade school life. So that is what I wanted to share. That is what I share in my book, in this, small chapter on shine with what you steward. Stewardship is the conducting, supervising, or managing of something, especially the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. So you want to be a good steward over your money and over the calling that God has for you. Don't take it for granted. Know that you are here for a purpose, you are here for a reason, and that you were put on this earth to solve a problem that no one else can solve. I'm a living witness that there are so many people out there that think that they might not be here for a reason, that they might not be here for a purpose. But I'm here to tell you that you are. Each and every single person was put on this earth for a purpose, right? Do you know how hard it is, unfortunately, for a woman to even get pregnant? And then, for the pregnancy to be successful, for you to be, healthy, for you to be able to, live and breathe and move and and act. And I'm not even, there, we know countless amounts of people that they might have what some would call and the inability to do certain things, because they might not have the arms or legs and things like that, and they are still out there living out their purpose, right? Inspiring tons and tons of people. So if they can do it, know that you can do it. And there are so many people out there. They can have mental illnesses. They can have, so many things. I'm not telling you, I'm not about the hustle culture. I'm not telling you to lose sleep. I'm not telling you to, go into thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. I'm not telling you any of that, but I am telling you that you must know that you're here for a reason, and steward that, right? Steward that. Make sure that you are learning, growing, overcoming, and winning. All right? So thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. Please be sure to join us next week. Please be sure to subscribe, like, share this with a friend if you learned something. And I will see you next time. Peace out.